We're going to explore semantic layout. I have a page here on semantic layout, collaboratively created with me and ChatGPT, and it is broken into different semantic layouts. And it's not done exactly the way I would have done it if were doing it all on my own. And I'll show you some changes and make some adjustments. But let's take a look at how the page looks before we go on. So we have some on-page links, and we have our header, and we have our nav section. So the header has the information about the page. This is often referred to as the masthead. The nav is typically off page, could be on page navigation, but it's navigation for the website itself, not typically linked to external sites. So here it's on page navigation. We have some of the key semantic elements defined. Header, which defines the masthead. It's usually the branding and main navigation. Nav is a selection with navigation links. It's usually links to the same website. A section is a standalone section. Article is something that stands on its own. An aside is something that's tangentially related to the content around it. And then the footer has your layout here. It has your information about your copyright, things like that. This is using a little bit of styling to add a frequently asked questions. So why we use semantic layout, and this is as opposed to historically we all just used divs with IDs, and they sent a web crawler, they being Google and other portions of the World Wide Web Consortium, sent a web crawler through to see what people were naming the different components, and these were the things that kept reappearing as being used by web designers. So they were codified, and now web designers use these as semantic divs. So they are just divs when you come right down to it, but they have meaning. And that helps for search engines to understand and rank content. It helps with accessibility, and it's easier to maintain the style. So here we have an aside, and let's take a look at the code. So here's the code for the site. So you can see that we have our header, and in the header we have the nav, and then we have a section for our introduction, and we have a section for elements, and then we do articles. Sections and articles, again, there's some slight differences there, but you could have either. They're not quite, but kind of interchangeable. Articles, again, something that you could publish on its own independently. And I like to, and you're going to see most of my websites styled this way, I like to have pretty much everything below the header in a section called main. I will often apply a container class to that, where I set the width, the background, things like that, and that would end before footer. And then I could adjust styles here. And again, I could do a class of container, which is what I typically do. I could add main to this styling. Let's see what that does. And so I'm going to save this. Save this. Bring out the demo page, and I'll hit refresh. I don't know if I like that better or not, but you can see what it's doing and that it's separating that border. I actually typically design without borders. So if I were to want to get rid of that, so this is a comment in CSS. If I'm not sure if I want something or not, I'll comment it out so it's there if I want to bring it back. Then I can see what it looks like without it. I kind of prefer that. And when I'm styling, I usually do things one at a time like that. So this shows you, tells you about the different sections. And I could just put a border on main, just to show you that portion of the page. So we can see the main encompasses all that. It's the main content for the page. And typically I break things into header, footer, main, and then main will get broken into subparts. But I'm going to expect on your sites that you'll use at least header, nav, main, footer, other things were appropriate.